Welcome to This Daring Adventure podcast, where we work on bridging the gap between where we are and where we want to be in order to live a bigger and bolder life. In this podcast, we will provide inspiration, tips, and skills you need to make your life the adventure you want it to be. Here's your host, mindset mentor, and life coach, Trista Gurton.
Hey everybody, welcome back to This Daring Adventure. So here we are in the middle of October, and I'm going to continue doing these episodes where I talk about coaching sessions that I've had with clients. I'm finding them fun to do, and I think they can give you a little bit of a story and a little bit of an illustration as to the power of coaching, and also you might find them helpful. I know a lot of these subjects that I cover here can be applicable to you in your life. And that's a great way to get a shift, learn something, and maybe try something new for yourself. So today we are going to dive into another client story. I coached her a few months ago, and I do think this is helpful for everybody. So here we go. Okay. As I said, a few months ago, I had a mom come to me whose 7-year-old had just been diagnosed with specific learning disorders in reading, writing, and math. And she told me, she said, I gave myself 2 days to freak out. I cried, I panicked, and then I got to work. And she found a new school, a small one, where he'd get more individual attention and started doing everything right. She wanted to do absolutely everything she could for him. But even though she was taking all of the right actions, inside, she was still trying to manage something that can't be managed. And that was the way her son would think and feel about himself. She told me, I don't ever want him to think that there's something wrong with him. And I get that, right? It makes sense. Because what loving parent doesn't want to protect their child from ever thinking something painful? But as we coached, here's what we uncovered. And I think it's a powerful lesson for every parent and for all of us. You cannot protect your kids from their thoughts, but you can teach them how to think. So let's talk about what was really going on for this mom. When she heard that diagnosis, her brain immediately went into overdrive. What if he falls behind? What if he feels different? What if he starts believing that he's not as smart as the other kids? So she did what most of us do when we're scared and we're worried. She tried to control everything outside of her. She tried to control how the nurse talked about it, how people at school labeled it, even what words her son might hear or repeat about himself. And again, that makes sense because underneath all of that control was love. But love, wrapped in fear, often looks like overprotection. And so we're trying to manage the world around our kids so that we can avoid feeling the discomfort inside of us. And when we try to protect them from the world and from their own emotions, we accidentally send the message that the world is something to be afraid of, that they can't handle it. And that's the exact opposite of what we want to teach. One of the examples that this mom shared with me was that he was using black and white thinking. He would say things like, my brother never plays with me. And she would respond, that's not true. He played with you yesterday. You're just thinking about it wrong. It sounds small, but that is such a perfect example of what we all do. We correct the thought instead of teaching the process of thinking. See, when she said that's not true, what she's really saying is your feelings come from your brother's behavior. And she missed the opportunity to show him that his feelings actually come from his thoughts about his brother's behavior. So instead of saying that's not true, she could say, that's an interesting thought. How does it feel when you think that? It sounds subtle, but it really is everything. Because in that moment, you're teaching your child that their thoughts create their emotions. And that, what they feel, isn't something that happens to them. It's something that they have power over with their thinking. And that's emotional literacy. And that's resilience. So when this mom said, I just don't ever want him to think that there's something wrong with him, I asked her, okay, what if he does? And she looked at me and said, oh, he will. He's already said, I'm not as smart as the other kids. And of course, every part of her wanted to jump in and say, no, you're not. You're amazing. You're smart. You're perfect. But here's the thing, that's our discomfort talking. When our kids think painful thoughts, we want to rescue them. But if we rush in and correct their thinking, instead of helping them see that it's a thought, we rob them of the opportunity to build self-awareness. Imagine instead saying, that's a thought you're having, that you're not as smart. Why do you think your brain is offering you that? What happens inside when you believe that? Do you know that you can believe anything you want about yourself? And it's not dismissing or denying the thought, it's teaching him how to work with it. And when you teach a child that, you're giving them the single most important life skill there is. Because if they can learn to manage their mind, they can handle anything. Now, here's where the real work comes in, because it's not just about the child, it's about the parent, it's about you when you are working with your child. When we're terrified that our kids will think something is painful, it's because we haven't learned to manage painful thoughts either. We're afraid of what they'll make their diagnosis mean because of what we've made it mean. This mom just kept saying, I just don't want him to think that there's something wrong with him. But underneath that, what she really meant was, I don't want something to be wrong with him. And as long as she believed that, she couldn't be fully present. She couldn't see the possibility or the strength in what was happening. When you think something has gone wrong, your brain looks for evidence of that. And what you look for, you will find, you will create more of. But when you shift into nothing has gone wrong here, this is his path, you start to show up differently. You stop resisting and arguing with reality and start empowering what can be. Every diagnosis, every label, every hard moment with our kids, it all has the potential to become their greatest teacher. This little boy isn't broken. He's just learning differently. And through this, he's going to learn persistence, self-awareness, creativity, emotional strength, all of the things that will serve him for life. But only if the adults around him aren't busy trying to fix what was never broken. It's really not our job to make sure our kids never feel pain. It's our job to teach them that they can handle it. And when we do that, when we model calm, grounded confidence, they borrow it from us. They start to believe, if mom thinks I can handle this, maybe I can. So I want you to think about this for yourself. Where in your life are you trying to protect someone, your child, your partner, a friend, from their feelings? Where are you trying to fix how they think instead of teaching them how to think? And where might that same fear be showing up in your own self-talk? Because this work The work of seeing your thoughts, naming them, understanding them, it doesn't stop with you. It's the foundation for every relationship in your life. So remember, you can't protect your kids from their thoughts. You can't protect yourself from them either. But you can learn how to work with them. You can learn how to stop resisting reality and start using it to grow. It's some of the best work that you will do. It's learning how to build that kind of emotional resilience and mental freedom, both for yourself and the people you love. And when you stop trying to control what others think and start managing your own mind, that's when the real transformation begins. So, listen, if you have a moment, please like, rate, review this episode. Share it with your friends, someone who might need to hear it. And if you're curious about doing this work, come and join me in You Redefined. It's my monthly coaching membership. Right now, founding members pay $19 a month for as long as they are in the membership. And if you're curious about trying coaching yourself, I'm offering a free coaching session. Come, it's 1 hour, no obligation. Come and try coaching for yourself. Bring whatever issue you wish. Let's talk it through, and I'll show you how I can help. Coaching really does transform lives. So let's get started. All the links are in the show notes. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.